All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am April Marroquin. I'm Interim Associate Director of Recruitment at Lamar University. Thanks for being here today. We appreciate you taking time out of your day and your summer to join us and chat with us and learn about some amazing things that are happening on campus. Despite coronavirus or because of coronavirus, however you want to put it, we are all kind of going through this together, if you want to use that cliche, or if we want to use that today. But thank you all so much for taking time to learn about what we've got going on at Lamar University to support your students. So as I mentioned, I'm April Marroquin. I have some lovely ladies assisting and helping out with the session today. So Alyssa Overby and Isis Rivera we'll be chatting with you a little bit later. And then we have driving the presentation is Demi in the background. So thanks, shout out to Demi, who's Assistant Director of Recruitment. Just a couple housekeeping things before we do get started. If you wish to chat with us, if you're on your computer, do utilize the chat function for privacy reasons. We will be recording, so we want to let you know that. You're welcome to use your microphone, use your camera function if you want to chat with us, but just as an FYI, we are recording, so wanted to let you know that. And then just what we're talking about today. So we are talking about our updates to admissions requirements, our tentative plans for the fall, classes, what housing looks like, what travel looks like, how to connect with us, how to connect with your assigned Lamar University admission counselor, and then answer your questions that you've asked us and getting your feedback, and then we'll kind of wrap up. But again, if at any point you have any questions, want to chat with us, want to send us a waving hand emoji, whatever you want to do, definitely use that chat function. So to get started, updates from the Office of Admissions and Recruitment. We are officially test optional. Super excited about that. That's why it's front and center on our admissions page. Lamar University is reviewing applications for freshman admission under a test optional format. So we're doing that, of course, because of COVID, also because it's a great thing to do. So we're doing that for fall 2020 now. We are getting started to do that for the spring of 2021 going forward. So we currently don't have an ironed out process, but we are in the works of that. So definitely have a little bit of patience with us as we kind of iron out those kinks and get a good smooth process underway. We want to make sure that we are looking at all aspects of a student's kind of holistic approach, because we're looking at that application, we're looking at the transcript, we're looking at grades to make an admissions decision. So that's that really exciting information there. An update on the travel policy. So if you are ready to go and ready to get visitors on your campus for the fall, we're excited about that. However, we have kind of had non-essential travel canceled. So we have had it canceled until August 31st. So definitely the safety of our staff and your students is at the top of all of our priorities when we're planning those visits. So again, a lot of this information is going to be tentative. And while domestic travel has been approved, we're having those internal discussions with our office about what travel is going to look like in the fall. So we welcome your invitations to come out and visit. We are definitely doing virtual presentations, virtual college fairs. For sure, put us on your list for that. We're still having those internal discussions about what our travel is going to look like in the fall and going forward. Another thing that we wanted to share with you guys is the summer series. So our admission counselors are presenting on topics this summer for your ongoing, upcoming seniors in high school, anyone who's kind of interested in what the college search process looks like. We launched our first episode of College Prep 101 with Dr. White from Lamar University, discussing some really great helpful tips for your high school students to get started on their resumes, to make the most of their free time this summer. I'll drop the link in the chat for you guys to kind of check that out on our YouTube page. So she talks about finding a good fit, or we're going to talk about finding a good fit in college, that college search, and other topics as well. So we're really excited about that summer series. If you've had summer camps canceled, or if you're trying to get your students engaged to do something this summer, we have launched this series for your students with that in mind. Another really big topic for students right now, we're getting tons of questions, is financial aid. So want to switch over to that page. And you should be able to notice in the bottom right-hand corner something that I'm going to mention in just a little bit. But the financial aid page definitely is chock full of a lot of really great information for your students. But sometimes you just need to get in contact with someone to talk through or help your student kind of talk through that financial aid package or just answer, general questions. So one thing that we do have is CHIRP. So if you joined us for the last CBO and high school counselor Zoom session, we talked a little bit about what CHIRP is. CHIRP is our little automated bot that will assist students or anyone else who's asking questions about Lamar University and has those pre-programmed answers. However, we have people, staff kind of there from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, ready to jump in if we see CHIRP struggling a little bit, or just there to kind of answer any questions. Because so many changes have occurred very recently, we're there and available to kind of triage those questions to the appropriate department or get you the appropriate response. So that's a great way to get in touch with financial aid specifically, because they do have staff manning that bot as well. So that's a good way to get a hold of them. 409-880-8450, and I'll drop that in the chat as well, is their direct line. The email is financialaid@lamar.edu. But a new way that we've implemented and that we've found that's really helpful in the past, because we have that really great relationship with students from the admission counseling side, admission counselors can schedule an appointment for the student on their behalf, and we have a process in place. So if your student knows who their admission counselor is, great, that's awesome, because they've kind of started that, that foster that relationship with their admission counselor, wonderful. We can help them and schedule that appointment on their behalf. So those are just a few things and updates that I wanted to share with you guys. Again, if you guys have questions, definitely utilize the chat, but I'm gonna pass it now over to Alyssa and Isis, who are current admission counselors remote across Texas, to give you more updates. And first up is Alyssa.
All right, so good afternoon, everybody. As April said, my name is Alyssa. I am a current admission counselor here at Lamar University. I've been here for a while now. I cover the Fort Worth area, East Texas, the Texas Panhandle, and all of Oklahoma. So if any of you are from those areas, so glad that you could be here. Definitely glad that you could be here either way, but definitely got to show a little love for my territory. So as April said, definitely want to give you some updates. I know one of the biggest updates, or one of the biggest questions from students that I'm getting right now is, what is the plan for classes for the fall semester? And as of right now, the Texas State University system, which is the system that Lamar University is part of, has stated that we will be having classes on campus this fall. We are going to accommodate students. So if they're not necessarily wanting to come to campus, whether it be full-time or, just at all, we are going to accommodate with, online classes, of course. We are having some precautions put into place on campus. I know one of the biggest ones that came out in our campus announcements recently was about our HVAC systems. So they're all going to be increased, and they're installing ultraviolet light systems in the HVAC ducts, so they don't have to worry about any bacteria or anything like that growing on the cooling coils, which is going to help prevent people from getting sick and stuff getting caught up in the air conditioner or the heat, which, let's be honest, we don't use very often in Texas, but it's definitely going to be, really beneficial. I know that mask law is in place for, from the governor. We're definitely going to be enforcing that. And then another big question, which I do want to say that we actually do have a frequently asked questions website for the coronavirus. So if you have students that may be worried, or if you just want to know yourself, you can definitely go on to that. It is up on the screen right now. So you can always, click through and hopefully be able to find the answer to your question. If not, just definitely reach out to us and we can, help facilitate and find the answer for you. Another big question that I have been getting personally is about the housing and the move-in policy. All of my students are, pretty far away from campus, so most of them live on campus. So it's a really big topic right now. Definitely want to ensure that they still submit their housing applications, since we will be having, in-person classes for the fall semester. If they will not be living on campus, maybe they're from the Beaumont area, there is an exemption form that they would have to fill out. So it is a requirement that all students live on campus if they are in the area or they meet one of the 3 exemptions, and they have to fill out that form. If you have any questions, you can always contact the housing office. Their email is really simple. It's just housing@lamar.edu. But currently, the plan as of right now is to spread everything out over into 4 days. It's going to start, I believe, August 13th, and it's going to go through August 16th. So students are going to receive an email closer to the date with their specific move-in time and all of the instructions that they need. They are being moved in little small segments to help with social distancing, to keep people, 6 feet apart and everything. Like I said, they are going to get that email, so definitely make sure to watch out for it. They might have already gotten it. The housing office did say that they're going to plan to have it sent around July 6th, a couple of days ago. So if your students are asking about that, definitely have them check their email because we are going to be on campus. So definitely want to make sure that you get your dorm settled for them or the resident suite. They are still having the 2-person suites available, but those might, run out soon. So definitely just encourage them to do that. The next big update is going to be about TSI, which again, kind of like with the SAT or the ACT, it's been a little bit harder for students to take this if they need it. Due to COVID and everything, we have made some changes to the enrollment process related to TSI. So we'll actually be using a holistic assessment to determine the student's TSI placement into college level math and English. So instead of just looking at that TSI score specifically, they're using everything that they can to determine that, placement for the student to hopefully make it to where they don't have to test. And if they do, we're helping them out. We are offering it remotely through our website or our career and testing center. So they can always sign up for that. It is proctored. So there is a proctoring fee with that, but it's not very expensive. I think it's only $25. And then the fee, the scores will get sent over to Lamar, and then we can get them signed up for classes and get them enrolled. If a student has already taken the TSI, it's really simple for us to get those scores. They just have to fill out a form on our website, and it'll basically just prompt us to go and pull the scores from College Board. But if a student does need to submit the TSI or register for an exam, or if they just need more information, you can just go to lamar.edu/TSI, and you'll be able to find all of the information. I believe the only way that it is letting you sign up for one right now is remotely. I actually just had a student go through that process. So they will get an email after they sign up with their voucher and everything like that. But that's going to be the best way for them to take their TSI right now to make sure that they're staying safe and everything. So the next slide that should be, or the next page that should be coming up is going to be our admission counselors page. So as you can see, there is a map to kind of, hover over, and then you can see what admission counselor is assigned to that area. For DFW, there's me and Angela Guidry, which I'm sure some of you know if you're from the DFW area. But we are still here to visit with you, as April said earlier. I know I've done tons of coffee chats before. Phone calls, text messages, whatever your student needs, we are here. We actually do have a texting platform now, which is actually very nice because it kind of takes away some of the tedious, having to copy and paste and everything like that in a phone to send it to students, where we actually have more time to work with them and counsel them and, bridge that gap if they have one, and just give them more information besides just spending all of our time pressing that send button. So definitely have them reach out to us. That link is in the chat box, so you can always go on there, find out your current admission counselor. If you are a high school counselor and maybe you want a list of students that have applied to Lamar University from your school, we can definitely supply that to you as well. So you can just reach out to your specific admission counselor and we can give that to you. I know I usually try to send mine once a month. So if you haven't received one, or if you would like one from your counselor or your admission counselor, definitely reach out. But now I'm going to turn it over to Isis.
Thank you, Alyssa, for sharing all that important information. So like April and Alyssa said, my name is Isis Rivera and I am the RGV admissions counselor. So I'm going to be providing a couple updates on our appeals process. So if you're not aware, we do have an appeals process for prospective freshman students who have received a rejection letter from Lamar University. And these students are eligible to appeal their admission decision by following our appeals process. And as you can see on this webpage that we have up, there's various steps students need to do to complete the process. So they would need to write a short essay. So as you can see, students are given 4 topics they can select from. And it's important that students proofread their essay, as a submission should be grammatically correct and should contain no spelling errors. Students will also need to submit a letter of recommendation from one of their high school teachers or high school administrators. And students will need to write a statement of purpose explaining any accentuating circumstances that they feel could add value to their application. So we are simply asking the student to tell us more about themselves as an individual, to tell us something that is not on their record of application. And it's very important that the student remembers to include their name in each of the documents so that we know that the documentation they are submitting is coming from them. And once the student has collected all 3 of these documents, they simply need to attach it to an email and email it to luadmissionsappeals@lamar.edu. And it's also very important for students to subject the line with their L number and title it freshman appeals. So now moving on to the updates for new student orientation. Our new student orientation will be virtual and there's no fee, meaning that orientation this year is free of charge. Our new student orientation will be conducted virtually into 4 parts. So the first part consists of students registering, which is a very important step. Students need to complete in order for this step, in order for students to start their enrollment process. And once students register, they'll be given a list of dates and times they can select from. As you can see, we have July 24th and July 31st available there. And they get to select what dates they're interested in. And once they fill out a form, which they're going to be redirected to, they'll be asked to they'll be asked to fill out various questions, and this information will help their academic advisor plan for the fall courses. And then once students have signed up for orientation, they will be emailed a link with the information for the virtual new student orientation. Now, the second part of new student orientation consists of advising and enrollment, and students will be able to view their courses in their self-service banner. Students will receive an email confirmation from their academic advisor with a list of their fall courses. So we strongly encourage students to check their emails constantly. They never know when they'll be receiving that email. And also within the email, they'll receive a link, and that link will direct the students to schedule a one-on-one virtual session with their advisor. And during their one-on-one meetings, students are able to view and make modifications to their degree plan if needed. And now the third part of the new student orientation consists of an online orientation course. So about a week before orientation, students receive an email with a link to an online course, and this link will direct them to see information from various departments. So it's pretty much a combination of videos, handouts, and documents that students can access at any time when needed. And since orientation is not an all-day event this year due to COVID-19, the Blackboard course helps ensure that incoming students are aware of all the resources that are available to them. Now, the fourth part of the new student orientation is a virtual group orientation, which students will access through a Zoom link that will be emailed to them on the selected orientation date. And during the session, they will get the opportunity to meet with their orientation leader, and they'll also get the opportunity to meet other LU students in their major. So if you know of any admitted students that have not registered for orientation yet, they can register by accessing this link, which is lamar.edu/orientation, to get their process started. So now updates on our virtual tours. So we do have scheduled sessions you can select from. So you can join our LU cruise Tuesdays at 11 a.m. and Thursdays at 2:30 p.m. as they do all the walking for you across campus. The tour typically lasts about 45 minutes, and it's followed by an optional session on how to apply to LU, and it's presented by admissions counselors. So feel free to ask any questions you have during the session. And then again, if you have any other questions or you would like more information on our virtual tours, you can always visit this web page that is up. And as you see there, we also have other sessions you can attend. All the information is listed on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Alyssa.
Perfect. Thank you, Isis. All right. So now that is a lot of information that we just threw at you. It seems every time, last time we did this, there's a lot of information this time as well. So now we're going to kind of move into the question part of this discussion, so that way you guys can actually, ask us questions if you have any, and we can give you answers. I will say that there were a couple of questions that came through on the registration form. So I definitely want to go ahead and answer those real quick and address them, and then we'll move on to an open forum to where you guys can, raise your hand if you want to and speak, or type into the chat box, and we'll be able to answer those questions. But one question that was asked is if there's been any changes to the admissions process. So while I know the biggest thing is we're going test optional, we have the appeals process, we are actually allowing students to submit unofficial documents as well. So while we would still need the official transcript before the student can enroll, students can go ahead and get a decision, start working on financial aid and everything else like that, while still waiting for that official transcript to come in through the mail or T-Rex or Naviance or however you prefer to send it. So definitely have students do that if they are still missing their transcript. If you have a student that maybe says that they're missing their, like they got an email saying they're missing their SAT or ACT test scores, it is possible that maybe they applied, before we switched the process, and in which case that might still be listed for them. But just rest assure them or reassure them that we only need the transcript. They can upload it, like I said, get a little bit of a quicker response and decision, and then have that official one come in. The other question was about our Lamar Promise program. So the way that this program works is it helps cover the gap between any gift aid that the student has and what their total balance is for tuition. So if, say, maybe they got $3,500 in Pell Grants and the total balance was $5,000 for tuition and fees, we would cover that extra $1,500 with usually like a Texas grant or something like that, some kind of university funds. I am going to drop the link into the chat box for you because there's quite a few requirements that you have to meet. It comes down to income and everything like that. So I'm going to post that in there, so that way if you have questions about it, you can always refer back to that whenever you need to. But that was kind of the only, one more question that actually came through the chat box privately. And it was actually a really great question. It says if a student did take, their SAT and they want to submit the scores, but maybe the score, wasn't like the highest score that you could get or something, if it would, impact their application. As of right now, our process is if a student submits their test score and, they're going to go the test route, maybe if they don't get in by that, they can still fill out the appeals form as with a student that, goes the test optional route and just submits their transcript. If they are not accepted that way, as Isa stated, there is also an appeals for that. So either way the student wants to go, it's not going to give them an advantage to submit test scores or anything like that. They are still eligible for scholarships and all of that great stuff, if they choose to not submit the test scores. So I hope that answers your question. It's just, if it didn't, just shoot me another PM and we can work through that. But like I said, now I want to move to an open forum to where you guys can actually ask questions. Feel free to raise your hand, drop it in the text box or the chat box, and then we can definitely try to help answer them for you. I will preface and say that there might not be an answer to a specific question depending on what it is. I'm sure you're all in that kind of same boat as we are with some things. You just don't know, to be honest, but we'll definitely try to help answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, thanks, Alyssa. So I think that Brandy, Miss Brandy had a similar question. A few students with SAT scores didn't meet automatic admission. So if a student did take it and didn't meet those, can they just not send the score? Absolutely. So yes, we can make a decision just with the transcript. So we can go ahead and go that route. If the kind of like the situation that Alyssa was talking about, definitely tell your students to reach out to their admission counselor. We can advocate for that student and look into it and see if there's an issue. Just again, we are kind of ironing out the process and kind of learning as we go as well. So we definitely want to make sure we leave no stone unturned to try to get students into Lamar University. So definitely reach out to us and we'll do the very best we can to advocate for your students. So it looks like that was our final question. I just want to give just a few more seconds in case anyone has questions for us. And I'll drop my contact information as well. There is the link, if you scroll a little bit up, to my lamar.edu/my-admission-counselor, and you can find the admission counselor assigned to your territory of Texas or outside of Texas, who's assigned to your school. And definitely let us know if there's any questions, any way that we can help during these very trying times, to use another tired phrase, but definitely let us know and reach out to us if you have trouble kind of connecting with a specific person or you're not sure who that is. Always utilize recruitment@lamar.edu and they can funnel it to the appropriate person. So it looks like those are all our questions. Alyssa, Isis, anything to add?
Nope, I'm sorry, I was just checking to make sure I didn't get any private messages.
Okay.
I didn't want to miss over anything, but yeah, that looks like everything.
Well, thank you guys again on behalf of Lamar University and specifically the Office of Admissions and Recruitment. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your summer, and hopefully we see you soon in the classroom. In the meantime, we'll see you virtually. So thank you all so much. Take care.